What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 32 of Golden Dice Podcast. With me, this is a very exciting week. He's back. He's taken off from signing all of his esports Fortnite and Sea of Thieves deals to come here and talk some Star Wars Destiny, which he played that one time a long time ago. Shane is here.
Wait,
He's here, everybody.
This isn't about Keyforge?
I think Alan is like jumping up and down right now, and everybody else is probably like, "Oh boy!"
I'm not gonna lie. I just got a card from Alan for Christmas. I got a Merry Christmas card. So Alan, this
Dude,
is your Christmas present. Yes,
oh, that's great.
Alan's the best.
Dude, you like broke his heart not being at PAX Unplugged.
I know.
You broke it, shattered it.
I
Everybody else was like, "Oh, I get it." Everybody's like, "Where's Shane?" I was like, "I don't know." They're like, "Yeah, makes sense."
Was like,
Alan was
no,
like, "Come
he's
on."
definitely gonna come. Flocked it. There's no way I'm going, dude.
It was like Saturday night, and he was like, "I really don't think Shane's coming anymore, dude." I was like, "Yeah, he never was." All right, so I'll introduce our third guest, so he doesn't have to awkwardly sit there and just chuckle at things. But we got John Eldis with us, who is the first back-to-back PAX Unplugged GQ champion. Eldis, how are you today?
I'm great.
Day
guys.
one champion, yeah, both times.
I'm honored to be here. I'm very excited. I'm glad that I have a completely made up and arbitrary title to my name now in the Thursday community. Day one's GQs, or let's go. You know.
Hey man, you got to own that title. You just got to make it and own it.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about tonight, from PAX Unplugged to spoilers to holocrons. But Shane, you wrote down some intro questions, so I'll give those to you, dude. Take them away.
Dude, I'm honored. Yeah, Eldis is my boy, dude. I've known Eldis for a while, but you can answer this question by how did you meet? I guess me and Tommy and Scott, and then how did you meet? Unfortunately, Jack.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, I met Shane, Tommy, and Scott. All around the same time, if not completely simultaneously, through, I think at that point it was the Bandai Dragon Ball card game.
Yeah,
right. Like I don't think it was. Right? Yeah. I don't think we played Naruto with you guys.
No, dude. Well, it crossed over, and then you could play like them versus each other. But we were like super.
Yeah, they were like the same system with some minor changes.
Yep.
And you could play them together, and it was awful. It was absolutely terrible if you played them together.
It was really bad.
Naruto absolutely wrecked it because Naruto had, jutsus that could remove entire teams and nonsense, and Dragon Ball was like, take a wound. But yeah, so we met through that game, and then proceeded to play various games together throughout that time, and then just sort of reconnected through Destiny.
It's beautiful friendship, and we can ignore the Jack portion of that question. So moving on.
I remember meeting Jack playing Still Awakenings meta.
Probably
the good old days of Boba Veers. Man, remember when that was the bee's knees?
No, I don't. It was
Django Veers. Yeah, see, it's been so long, I don't remember who the characters were.
The same guy.
Yeah, I remember those days in ATK's basement.
Yeah. I was like, oh, who's this nice hairy guy? Oh, that's
like when I went to events, actually, back in the day.
Yeah. Shane played the game, so I've been told.
All right, moving on. This is where we ask everybody who comes on here. When did you start loving Star Wars? Because I'm assuming you love Star Wars if you're willing to play Destiny.
Yeah. I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid. Star Wars had this really unique place in my heart when I was growing up, and I think my father introduced me to it just kind of on a whim, and it just became this major fixture in like my young mind. Like any time I was sick and home from school, I would just watch the original trilogy just on VHS, pull those bad boys out, pop them in, and just watch the entire thing.
What about the Christmas special?
I actually didn't watch that
until
I was in high school. It was smuggled into our friend group in a brown paper bag, unlabeled, as it should be. And we got through most of it. And It's awful. It's a bad.
It's not for young audiences, so you had to wait till high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for children for sure.
I just saw someone.
Chewbacca and his children are very jarring to witness.
I just saw someone have the whole video on Facebook. It was like a 2 hour, 2.5, whatever it was. Hour
Oh, it's
video.
on YouTube.
Yeah, like with commercials.
It's amazing
and
that
stuff. It's so funny.
that video was almost successfully killed completely by George Lucas.
Yeah.
But now it's just. I mean, like we have the internet, so it's just available anytime you want to punish yourself.
It's a masterpiece.
Is it, Jack?
Yes.
All right, he sticks to it. Third question. Third question for you, and we asked this to everybody as well. It's when did you start playing Destiny? Now you talked about the Awakenings meta, but really, what got you into the game? So it's kind of like we kind of like to see how you got drug into Destiny, whether by a friend or by FFG's marketing or whatever, just to kind of see how something.
Really, the allure of playing an FFG game really just got me there. They're just such great games, and they do such great work.
Their OP system is fantastic.
Yeah, no, I love Fantasy Flight. No, it's funny. At first, I wanted nothing to do with Destiny because I was like, Star Wars, cool. Dice, nope. I had heard the horror stories of Dice Masters. I was a very avid HeroClix player, and sort of just dice games were like not on my radar at all, and I didn't want anything to do with them. And I was playing Magic, I was playing other just card games. And I was like, I don't want to deal with dice. It seems like a fad. Like this is going to be a flash in the pan sort of thing. And then, lo and behold, I got sat down. I played the game with a friend. I want to say I played Phasma Trooper something.
Bala?
And he had, it might have been Bala. That sounds right. And he had like Padme or Queen Amidala, technically. And was it the original Leia? It might have been. Because he wanted to mill. It actually might not have been Leia. It was, I think, another strange support character. And he wanted to mill. And I was like, oh, you can mill in this game. That's cool. And like I played it, and I was like, oh, the way you can use and manipulate dice in this game is far more involved and better than any system I had previously come across. HeroClix, like you are completely reliant on character abilities to manipulate dice.
Yep.
And like rerolling is hard to come by. And so when I learned that Destiny had like ways to remove dice and had like basically a no frills way to just reroll all of your dice, I was like, oh, that's so much better. Because nothing feels worse than just rolling and then being punished for it.
Yeah, just natural ones all day.
Yeah. I mean, now you can still roll all blanks, and we do every now and then. But you have so many more outlets and avenues to which you can manipulate your dice.
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
Until you play Gunkins, then you don't roll blanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You're like, stop rolling hot. Give me them juicy blanks.
All right. Last question for you, if you can handle it. This is a more of like a nerdy question, but what character is not in the game currently that you would like to see from the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, so it'd be easy to say like someone that's not in the official canon right now. Mm-hmm. Like anyone from KOTOR would be awesome. Yep. Like Revan would be really cool. But lined up with what's currently canon,
We got him, Jack. We put him on the spot.
I know, it's a stumper.
All right, podcast is over at 9 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yep, wrap it up, boys. I'm sorry. I dropped the ball. I would like to see another Hux. Like, he's in the game, but I want another one.
Yeah, he kind of fell flat on his face like as soon as he came out.
Yeah, I feel like the early drafts of characters, like when they get there, that everyone looks back at like the first version of a character, and they're like, oh, that was lame.
What could have been? Yeah.
He's a lame character. I don't like him. I don't like that answer, Eldis.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jack.
Right. Podcast is over at And 03 again, all right.
Actually, you know who we really need? We need Ick Asti.
Gengar. Ooh.
We need Ick Asti.
That
Another
sounds
red
Sick,
hero pilot.
nasty.
No, sir. Ick Asti.
That's quite a name. I was thinking more like one of like the 25 bounty hunters I still want to see in the game.
Rick Astley.
Yeah, he said Rick Axley. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the character's name.
Cool. Good talk.
Also, I
All right,
want
Jack,
BB9E as not a support, but as a villain character. Because BB9E, so far, is the best villain in the new trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah,
putting that out
30-point
there.
villain character.
Yeah, replace
wait.
Palpatine.
He'd only be 29 if you run him with the new Grievous, though.
Ah.
Deck tech.
That's good thinking outside the box, Shane.
That's what I'm here for, baby. All right, Jack,
I don't
take
know
back
if
over
the
before
I don't
we,
know if the people
sink.
are ready for that above curve line of reasoning.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to transition into some PAX Unplugged talk here. So Eldis, as we said, he was our day one, which was Trilogy's champion. So Eldis, why don't you walk us through what you ran and kind of why you picked that deck?
Sure. So let me preface this by saying I was very bummed when I first learned that the majority of the events at PAX were going to be trilogies. I've never played trilogies before, and I think I was still in a mindset of like legacies and even like legacies with ways of the Force mindset that like trilogies was pretty lame. Because I know it was super boring for a while. But then as people started gearing up and building, and I saw what it was like, I was like, oh, trilogy seems downright fun. And speaking of fun, I knew the pairing of Jin and Cassian was like effectively designed into the game now that we had a nice new shiny Jin with beautiful dice and an awesome ability. You know, costed to pair perfectly with Cassian. I was like, oh, that's like on the nose, but it seems like it'll be good. And I remember talking to Shane about it. I talked to Tommy, sort of getting an idea of like what even some legacy decks would look like. I think there were some obvious ones like Vader something, Snow-Gafra Battle Droid. I assumed would still just be a top deck. And after Shane shared his Jin Cassian list with me, I was like, okay, I like this. And I threw one together on my own, and then we ended up testing not a lot at all. We barely tested in the grand scheme of things. But I immediately enjoyed what it was doing and what it was capable of, especially with the unexpected amount of tech presented to you by Jin and Cassian's abilities in what is, at face value, a pretty aggressive deck. So I was like, screw it. I don't have like any sort of big secret deck that I'm trying to build here. I did not have anywhere near the amount of testing or like insight to come up with something beyond this sort of real cool pairing that I enjoyed a lot. So I said, yeah, let's play this. This should be fun. And going into it, I expected the meta to be a decent amount of 3 wide vehicles. I expected a lot of Snow-Gafra Battle Droid. I expected some Vaders floating around being scary. And that really is what I ended up seeing. I think most people, at least I was surprised at how prevalent the Shadowcaster strategy was, at least with like the L3 based lineups. But, I think anyone who had actually tested the meta more would be like, no, well, that's obviously the way to go.
Yeah, like you said, I think I was the 3 games that you even tested with, right? Is that the only time you played? I mean, we played like
I hadn't played before that since Gen Con, like really at all.
Right, yeah, like in August, yeah, because you played, or in July, whatever it is. But yeah, you played. I mean, you played against random crap. I think I played you with like Snow-Gafra, which was fine. Then I played you with like a Han Iden deck, and then I played as Jin Cassian once.
Yep.
So, I mean, you only got like 2 or 3 games even seeing Jin Cassian or any games at all prior to PAX. And
yeah,
then
I played against Jack for a hot second.
Oh, right, you did play
That was
Jack
cute.
deck. Yeah.
Played you with Kylo Anakin, stomped you.
Yeah, I took a hard L.
Cool. So why don't we start to dive in? You don't have to like really dive in too deep to each round, but tell us what you played against in the rounds, and then maybe like a strategy or something that you noticed worked well against the pairing that you were trying to defeat that round.
Sure. So round one, I faced against Snowcaffer Battle Droid. Some key things. He had a hailfire right away, so I was like, oh, that's not great. But luckily, I managed to land Jin's Blaster very early as well. And for anyone who's curious, Jin's Blaster is the best card in the deck. It makes Jin so much more dangerous. It's so versatile. I love it. Great card. And redeploy just for gravy. And throughout the matchups, I realized that this matchup, which I thought initially would be very difficult, just because of the amount of advantage and damage that Snowcaffer Battle Droid can put through, with aggressive use of Cassian, you end up doing fairly well on the attrition battle front. Like, sure, they're hitting you with indirect, huge amounts of indirect, but Jin's sides are super good and aggressive. Cassian has those aggressive sides. You can get in their hand in a pinch, which is always good. Jin being able to get supports and removal off the top of their deck is amazing. And I found throughout the day that I was able to keep pace even with good starts from Snowgaffer Battle Droid and eventually overcome the damage battle.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you trying to chew through all that health with the amount of damage they're putting out can be harder to get through, but having that extra little mill within it can kind of get you ahead a little bit.
Yeah, like hitting a BT, hitting a 000 off the top of the deck,
exactly.
Keeping them off that is so beneficial.
Yeah, especially if they're turn one playing a Hellfire, which obviously is good in and of itself, but that means they're still looking for their 000 or BT within their deck, most likely. So you hitting that deck and getting rid of them is that the combo of BT and 000 is a little bit more scary than just a Hellfire out. That's a die that you can control.
That's true.
Where BT is doing 2 damage just by activating plus whatever he rolls.
And then they're drawing a bunch of cards. Yeah.
Yep.
The second round again, Snowgaffer Battle Droid. That game, I remember I got my scrap heaps out early, like both on first turn. So my resource situation was amazing. I got both suppressifiers early and I just put Snoke down for a round. That always felt good. And I just got to put out solid damage and just kind of won that race.
Yeah, I didn't know you saw 2 SADs right away, so at least you were semi prepared for that more than a new deck. It's a character pairing.
I was like, okay, this is a good deck. I'm not surprised to see this, so that was beneficial for sure.
Yeah.
If I had seen like L3 engineer right away, I would have been like,
Yeah.
The third round, I saw Yoda L3 Gungan. It does what it wants to do. It got the Shadowcaster out right away. But then I remember second round, I rolled garbage and then re-rolled into like almost max damage. It was insane. I re-rolled into something like 13 damage between Jin, like a Jin Blaster, Cassian, and maybe even a hand cannon out at that point. And just like obliterated Yoda, put some damage on the Gungan and L3, and then the Shadowcaster didn't get a reset in time to even hope to catch up. So I was able to just out damage that way.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, sometimes you just roll super hot and you just bomb out, key characters.
Yeah. I mean, the damage sides are very capable of doing that in that deck. I mean, looking at Cassian's as a 2 and a 3 respectively for his ability if you're playing the aggro matchup, it's quite a lot of damage.
Yep. The following round was an E Talzin single die Vader, which I thought was super cool. And it was also, I was paired down at this point. He was 2-1, I was 3-0. And like in the back of my mind, I was like, oh no, I always lose pair downs. It's so bad for me. He was like, oh man, I got paired up. That's rough. I'm like, yeah, nope. Yep. You should be scared." And I was convinced that it was just going to be bad for me, and it almost was. Vader, of course, even with one die, is a force to be reckoned with, and Talzin still as good as ever. She loses a lot of good tools and pieces in the trilogy format, but she still has enough to be very potent.
Above all else, she has witch magic still. So
exactly, yeah. Just being able to pop and heal 3 is real good. I remember being terrified. I want to say round 1 because Vader, like I was like, he's going to fear and deadman me, and that's just going to be an awful time. Because I assumed even with Talzin, like you run fear and deadman if you have Vader. And actually, in the long run, I don't think he did run it. Shockingly enough, but he just kept rolling 4 round 1. I was like, okay, remove it. He's like, all right, roll back in 4. I was like, re-roll it. Okay, up 4. I was like, damn. So I was convinced he was going to murder me, but luckily, the damage was manageable, and there was a point late in the game where I think it was just Cassian. I go into the round. I draw my cards. I don't have any removal, and he's got like Vader Saber, Maul Saber, and I think he did have which is it? Which is the upgrade that makes your character elite? Is it Way of the Force?
I believe so.
He had that on him, but I think he actually overrode it with a Maul Saber.
Interesting.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah. And ended up, I mean, I had no removal, so I was like, okay, he's just going to roll and murder poor little Cassian. And he just didn't. He just didn't get there. He didn't get a black melee side to pair off, and I was sweating bullets the whole round. And then luckily, I took the claim the next round, rolled in, Exacxies to take out Vader with the indirect. And that was that.
Bet he regretted overriding the Way of the Force.
Yeah, I remember him commenting that at the end. He was like, "Oh, that was a bad decision." I was like, "Yeah, well, Maul's Saber is still really scary, but Vader."
Yeah, you want his die, especially because it counts towards his character die, wouldn't it? I don't know the wording of Way of Force off the top of my head.
It makes him elite, so yeah, he just gets.
Yeah, so it would count. Yeah.
The next round was another Snoke Afro battle droid.
Wow.
But yeah, I know, right? 3 of them.
3? Oh wow.
Though for this matchup, I saw like all of my tech. Shane convinced me that Bubble Shield was a good inclusion. I had that in as a one of, and that was huge. I think I like mended. I hit all of my nice one ofs that are good in that matchup.
Yeah.
And just ended up winning the attrition race.
Awesome.
And then the last round, what I think is probably the bogeyman of the format, even after strategic planning got nerfed slightly.
Wait, you got 2 more, right? Or am I crazy?
No, this is the last one.
Oh,
6
okay.
rounds.
3 Sads, a Vader, and what did I miss?
The Yoda Gungan L3.
Yeah, I missed that one. Yep.
And then the last round was L3, Rebel Engineer.
Was this your first game on stream?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, if people are looking for this game, it should be on YouTube and Twitch. YouTube, the name's all messed up, but it's the first streaming day, and then on Twitch, it's our PAX Unplugged day 1. So it'd just be the last game, in case people want to watch this as well.
Oh yeah, it's thrilling. So yeah, this isn't a great matchup for the deck. I was also only running 1 Vandalize at the time because I just assumed that I'd never be able to actually use it effectively. Of course, that's wrong. You should be running 2 Vandalize in any trilogy deck that can play it. The card's too good. That's my
especially with what's in the meta.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. He had back-to-back rounds of just these absolute blowout easy pickings. Like we're talking, like both Jin's die or Jin and Cassian's 2 sides, like really hurt. I did have a pretty good play where I took out a dorsal turret with like 1 Cassian die with a Vandalize, and that helped keep Jin alive for another round, which was huge. At least another rollout. And other than that, it was a super tight game. I have a feeling like he probably could have been more aggressive with it, but I'd probably want to go back and rewatch and really remember everything clearly. I just remember like I rolled it exactly what I needed when I needed to, because
Yeah.
Shadowcaster was getting ready to roll back, like had big damage showing, and then was already ready to then roll back out huge damage.
Yeah, so that game was really crazy. I actually watched pretty much that whole thing on stream, and you started with a double scrap heap right away, so it looked like
I had crazy money that game.
Yeah, and you were swinging with it, and it was really good. But he still Shadowcaster and got a couple resets early, so he like quickly ramped up his damage. So you were actually on your back foot after like turn 1 or 2.
Yeah,
and then pretty much everyone
the
was
easy
thinking it
pickings
was over.
for sure. Like those blew me out.
Yeah, easy pickings, and then I know I think you hit with one into the garbage chute as well, but you milled the other one with Jin. But like it's tough because you want to mill in that matchup. You want to mill, I mean, the easy pickings and into the garbage chutes, but you also want to mill, R2 units and things like that. And yeah, that matchup's really tough. But yeah, that game was really tight. And I just remember at the end, you pretty much had to roll out like max damage, and he had to ready the Shadowcaster or whatever and be able to, because you had a decent amount of health left on Cassian. So he couldn't do it with one Shadowcaster activation, but I mean, it pretty much came down to can you max roll, and then, and that's pretty much what happened. And then can he remove, can he not, things like that. But it was, it was a really tight game. And then one quick thing, I'm going to take some shots at Scott right now because I sent Scott. I have to. Set my list to Scott originally, and I was like, "Hey, I have 2 vandalizes in this, or had a vandalize in this. I forget what I had at the moment. Like one of my first drafts, he's like, dude, you can't run a vandalize when your character dice are that important." And I'm like, dude, the meta is all casters right now, and the R2 unit is 0. Like, just killing that to counter one reset a turn is ginormous. So all you have to do is mill one R2 unit, and then you just vandalize the other one. That is huge. Let alone now that after that tournament, Eldis and I spoke more about that matchup, and now that the strategic planning nerf has also got hit, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which isn't a super big nerf, but I mean, it's a big nerf for strategic planning. But this deck will still exist past that, is what I mean.
Oh yeah, it's still so good. Still
seriously solid deck, yeah. But our strategy kind of changed to actually we were killing the engineers first because you don't want the you don't want the Shadowcaster to have L3 as a mod, because that mod's
as a 2-die mod,
right? Yeah, with 3 focus total between 2 dice. Yeah, between 2 sides. So
makes attack run and impulsive so much more scarier if L3's
terrifying.
Attached.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it just includes, and also there's a few other things. If you kill her, it turns off easy pickings. If you go after the engineers first, they have first aid for a 1 for 4 card instead of a 1 for 2 late in the game. And if you're running 2 vandalize, you just vandalize her because she calls 0 afterward. And that's kind of what we were discussing, because I was discussing, all right, well, how can we make that matchup even cleaner? And my crazy brain was like, all right, well, screw it. Just run your own strategic planning and exhaust their Shadowcaster. Like, that's what I'm thinking. And then Eldis with some sanity is like, why don't we just kill L3 and then do these things first? This makes more sense. So shots. And then here's where the shots come in at the end. I will fulfill my promise. A little bit later in the Discord, Scott's like, "Oh, this is a 2-time champion, blah, blah, blah." Like, yeah, blah, something. And then he's like, "Yeah, really good call running Vandalize." And I was like, "Scott, I hate you so much." Eldis puts Vandalize in. He's like, "Oh, kudos, Eldis. Shane puts Vandalize in. Dude, you're an idiot. You can't run it with those character dice." So you know what, Scott?
I can't
wait. You, buddy.
Scott's going to come on next week, curse up a storm, and I'm going to have to edit it all out.
You're going to have to edit
just like
an entire 10-minute rant against me. Yeah.
I can't wait. That sounds.
We need more shots fired. We need more intramolecular shots fired at all of the GDP cast. That's what we need.
It'll just be 10 minutes of Wilhelm screams.
Yeah, I think people really tune in so they can hear you guys trash each other. I think that's the key dynamic.
We built this fan base.
Yeah, I mean,
off of me getting trashed.
That's true. Shane got put on here because Tommy and I made fun of him for like 4 episodes straight. Eldis, do you want to touch on, you went 5-1 on day 3, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to go through your matchups, but you ran Vader, Battle Droid, Retribution. I don't know if you just want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And, again, time-wise, we won't dive in too much, but anything that's spicy within there.
Man, I think they nailed the big, scary character feel with Vader. He was so much fun. I love just rolling him out, having big stick side showing, just, being scary. His power action, helps mitigate the fact that, back in the day with Palpatine, you could just get blown out by good removal. Now Vader can combat against it. Retribution is amazing. Basically, the story of day 3 there with Vader and Baldroid is just if you get Fear and Deadman, you win the game, and if you don't, then it's a little more fair. But Fear and Deadman is just an absolute amazing card, and Vader will kill you with it, unquestionably.
Yeah, that's what ruined my day on day 1, game 4. I was 3-0 at that point, and then turn 1, Vader got a fist down. Turn 2, he Fear and Deadman me. I was like, well,
whoops,
this is fun.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's cool.
I remember one specific game. I won't go into too many details, but I ended up opening hand was like Respite, Fear and Deadman, and then literally anything else would have been fine. But I pitched it, and then I ended up drawing another Respite, another Fear and Deadman, and then whatever, some other card. And I was like, okay. And my opponent was on L3 Engineer. I was like, okay, so this is how this is going to go down. I'm going to roll out Vader. I'm going to roll a 4. Maybe like a 3 or a 2. That'd be cool. He's going to Scruffy Nerf her to me for a vent. He's going to see that I have 2 Fear and Deadman. He's going to be sad. And then he's going to discard one of them. And then I'm going to use the other. And then this game will be off to a very good start for me. And that is exactly what happened. It was great. Looking into an opponent's hand with Scruffy and seeing 2 Fear and Deadmen, definitely soul crushing for sure. Especially with an exposed 4-side Vader die sitting there. So yeah, and then like I said, you land Fear and Deadman with Vader, you're just gonna win, especially against those triple 3-wide decks. Even against,
I'm assuming he took the other one though, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. He discarded
yeah.
one of them, and then I just played the other, and then proceeded to have a much easier game.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, so overall, you enjoyed that deck. I mean, you piloted to 5-1. I know Sunday was a little bit less in terms of attendance wise, but still going 5-1 is obviously.
I mean, I think at that point the decks were a little more shored up. I mean, I saw 3 L3 Engineer decks that day. I saw a Bosch Yoda, which was real cool. I love that meta call.
That's so good in its standard.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I haven't looked at what a trilogy build of that would look like, but I mean, one of the Artificer guys won a regional, Flaccid Baron, I believe. Don't know which one. Any other final thoughts on PAX Unplugged, as a whole, the ticketing system, just any general thoughts of the app or anything like that?
Love PAX. Love the location. Love Philly. Love Gritty. I thought they've definitely upped the ticketing from last year, from what I recall. This year you got one every round guaranteed, which was super cool. So it definitely enticed you to play more. I think last year it was like you got O2, you just drop. You don't even keep.
Yeah.
You got bonus tickets to if you went more than 3 and 3, 4-2 got tickets, 5-1, 6-0. I think going 6-0 ended with 20 tickets, which was pretty cool. I like how they did it. The new spot glosses were very nice.
I was disappointed they didn't have Across the Galaxy, but I get why they probably have to spread it out over the course of the season. So we're not getting them all and selling them for hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else gets to do that.
I imagine we'll see more of those once deeper into regionals, and then by Worlds, I'm sure they'll be in full force. Yeah.
I mean, they introduced a new one at World. I think Hondo was the one at Worlds. I don't think he was there before that.
Yeah, he was the brand new exclusive one.
Yeah.
Sounds like everyone who went, had a great time. It was fun. I was there. It was great. But yeah, it sounds like everyone enjoyed Trilogy as well, which is good.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm sick of seeing hyperspace jump and things like that. And, just that play style of, all right, we have a super fast deck that just gets out of the round. We have a deck that makes a bajillion money and then stalls it out. Just get a fresh new feel. And like you said, Vader's actually bringing that fresh new feel a little bit with a big little deck that's actually viable. And then you have a few mill decks that are viable, some vehicle decks. It's just seems like it's a fresh meta, which seems very nice.
Yeah, Trilogy's really impressed me with how much fun it was. Going into it, not really knowing much about it, I left it now all I want to play is Trilogies until Convergence drops.
Yeah, that's
I don't even want to build Standard. I mean, I will, but I'm sure.
Yeah, for regionals, you have to.
Pretty much what
assuming you go to them, but
yeah, you don't have to. You don't have to go. You don't have to go to any event, guys. Listen to that.
You could be yeah, all right, Shane.
Yeah, you don't have
You
to.
could be like Joe. He showed up to Kappa Cup with a Trilogies deck, even though it was standard.
That's true.
You like Joe?
Be like Joe.
No, don't be like. Never be like Joe.
No,
Don't be
but
like
for-
don't be like Joe. Play the game. Play
Yeah.
real decks.
Well, I thought the game was dead. Everyone on Facebook told me the game was dead. You know, like all the guys from Wreck and Roll and stuff told me the game was dead, so I figured it was dead. But I don't know.
I'll just say that Keyforge didn't fire on Sunday.
Wow.
I'm just gonna put that out there, man. All right, so we will.
On that note.
concludes our. on that note, we'll move on. You know, kind of almost segueing from our talk of standard and trilogy, we got a new Holocron
Ooh, baby.
this week.
Yes, we did.
So the Holocron added the eligibility of Across the Galaxy to the thing. So congratulations to Across the Galaxy, you are now legal. We for Balance of the Force, we got a +1 to Snoke, and then we got 4 changes or 4 erratas to cards. We got one to Award Ceremony. It should now read: spot a red character to draw cards equal to the number of exhausted characters you have. Set that many cards from your hand aside. Sienna Ree should now read as a power action. Long Con should now read: gain 1 resource for each other copy of the event in your discard pile. And Strategic Planning should read: ready support that has no mods or exhaust a support. And the effective date is November 27th. So, yeah. That's cool.
Did it.
It's about like 2 weeks late. Yeah, so, I mean, these are a lot of changes. I vote we go through the erratas or anything that we want to talk about, and then Snoke's probably obviously the one where we can have the most thoughts on. So we'll start off and almost we'll bundle Award Ceremony and Long Con together since they're kind of OTK decks. How do you guys feel about them? Are these playable still?
No. But I just got to give kudos to the guy who broke the Award Ceremony in Long Con. That's so fantastic.
Yeah, I will say, when I first heard about the OTK decks, I want to say last meta, when Way of the Force had just dropped, maybe even in Legacies. I think there were still rumblings about it then. Like the idea of just being able to draw out your deck and then do whatever you wanted with Hangar Bay.
Yeah, the Hangar Bay deck, or Launch Bay. Yeah.
Launch Bay. Yeah, it wasn't quite there yet, but it was. You could start to draw almost all of your deck in Legacies, but Way of the Force really pushed it over.
Yeah, but I think these are. It's tough when you need to nerf a combo deck. You kind of have to identify which pieces need to go and which others are good, but you want to maintain playability in other deck types. And I think these 2 cards that really don't see play in literally any other deck type are a clever solution. And I like that they sort of changed each one of them differently. I mean, they just nerfed the power of Long Con, and they made Award Ceremony a hand filter instead of just a net gain, which I think is cool.
Yeah, I mean, Long Con's basically a hard ban. Like, I don't think the only way it sees plays with, or would see play, would be with Double Down.
Yeah,
but there's so many other cards that you would rather have 3 copies of.
Exactly.
Rather than get a 1 and a 2 resource from this. Yeah, I mean, like you said, these cards were only played in those draw decks, so seeing them banned nerfed is very, very good. Award Ceremony still could not be awful.
Yeah.
But I think the set aside is big, because if that's like your only draw card in your first hand, but you have other cards you still need, like it's kind of makes it a weird spot.
Yeah,
so.
And setting them aside is huge compared to just having to discard them.
Yep.
Because if you're like, oh cool, I'll draw 4. Oh great, you got to exile 4 cards. Yeah. And that's a percentage of your deck now that's just gone.
That's a big price, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see them gone, because OTK made it weird within the meta that only Thrawn Snoke could easily beat it. So then it kind of kept other stuff out, and then Thrawn Snoke was like the only deck
that you could play.
That could, So it was weird. Yeah. Cool. All right, Sienna Ree now should be a power action instead of an action, and I think that's great. I think it would have been a power action if power actions were around. Yeah. I mean, the R2 Astromech is exhaust. You have to exhaust that. So why would she be any different in a sense?
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, you still now you can only ready the planetary bombardment once. It's a joke because everyone thought that was a vehicle.
No, can't do that, dude. Come on.
So yeah, I mean,
not a vehicle.
I feel like that's a fair kind of change of the card. I mean, it's not really like she's still fine. I mean, I know there's some decks that can really abuse that if you have $1 million, but it's still once a turn. If you have the R2 Astromech and her, that's pretty good. If you really have $4, you want to ready something twice, sure.
R2's hero, dude. Come on. Do you even play this game?
I thought it was neutral.
My goodness.
So
when was the last time you saw the Empire using Astromechs, Shane?
Dude, the new cartoon, the Resistant, dude, they take one. They still no, that's not.
Nope,
It's
you're
not
done.
true.
No, get out.
Uh,
Get out.
The big thing with this was people were running the Dooku Solar Sailor
Yeah.
and attaching some mods to that, and then getting the 2 resources for that,
Charge
power
each time.
action it, readying it again, and consistently rolling out those mod dice to consistently just do all this damage.
Yeah.
It's like its own form of. It's not a one turn kill, but its own form
Yeah.
of.
And doesn't the sailor draw a card every time you activate it?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's super good.
Yeah, so it's letting you reroll to have more chances to hit focus on other dice or something like that. Something along those lines. So it was just like, you don't want that deck.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
game.
well, the Solar has enough focus sides that it can just focus the 2 mods that you even have on it consistently, and then that's 5 something damage if you have a TTL or whatever it is. So yeah, it's pretty annoying.
And lastly, the strategic planning, which is ready to support that has no mods or exhaustive support. So it's interesting you can still exhaust one that doesn't have or that does have mods in terms of your opponent's stuff, but you cannot ready a support that has a mod on it. I think it's a good change.
Yeah, they clearly just wanted to tone down the power of the card offensively, so then it's still defensively viable.
Yeah, Tommy and I have actually bickered about this a little bit. This card in general, he thinks it's not hard enough of a hit for the Shadowcaster deck to take in Trilogy and whatever, but I feel like it's actually a pretty decent hit to the deck in general. Price wise, like now you if you do want to ready that thing, you're gonna have to get the R2 unit out, and you're gonna have to have $2 for it. So it obviously limits the amount of times you can ready it, but it also just limits the if you can't afford the R2 that turn, you could just strategic planning it for the 1 turn. But I don't know. I mean, obviously that's just that deck needs to now build without strategic planning, see if it works as well, see if it's still oppressive, slightly oppressive, and then go from there. But I feel like without having to hit that deck that hard, because I don't think that deck deserves to be hit that hard yet after 1 PAX, after 1 GQ, whatever. I feel like that's a solid slight adjustment, like you're saying, Eldis, to kind of turn down the offensive power of it and then kind of see where the deck goes from there.
Yeah. And, I think in practice, it's going to force, if you are playing strategic planning and you want to get that reset, it'll force you to do a naked Shadowcaster rollout, which is still super good. But at least then, on the defensive side, your opponent is likely to be able to mitigate it because you won't automatically have triple laser turret.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could ready it and then play a mod on it. I mean, that's just doing a lot. Like that, it still hits it because you're going to have a mod on that thing, and its die is expensive without the mods. Like it's got a lot of paid sides.
Yeah,
so I agree.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, and I was going to say like it probably not kills, but significantly hurts strategic planning in the Yoda L3 deck, whereas the engineer deck you could probably get away with it still. Like you said, like if you play it, you roll it out. You then strategic planning, and then you could easily drop, like if you drop a dorsal turret and an R2 astromech on it, you're fine because then you're rolling that die in anyways for the dorsal. But yeah, then it's open to mitigation, and also that has to have the stars align. But with drawing 8 cards and taking a mod, 2 mods from those 8 cards with the engineers, it could work out in that fashion. But you need the stars to align a lot more than how easy it was to just ready a vehicle before. Cool. So any other thoughts on those errated cards before we move on to Mr. Snoke?
Nope.
I think they were necessary. I think that's all pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think they managed to also with Snoke, it's going to turn standard back into a much more exciting format.
A playable format, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean Snoke got a +1, which kills Snoke after Battle Droid. It significantly hurts Thrawn Snoke. You could run it with Bitter Rivalry, but we'll have to see how much that hurts that deck going forward. I mean, that Snoke Bazine First Order deck, you could maybe run Bitter Rivalry, but you could also just drop down to a Battle Droid, but who knows how good that is. So there's definitely several decks that definitely got hurt by this, but overall, with how good Snoke was and how prevalent he was, like, I get you want a good support character, but it's like, why play any other 13 cost support character?
Yeah.
Like, the only reason you play Talzin is because she's a point cheaper and can fit into a different archetype of a deck. But, like, she was 13 points, she would never see play. Like, why play a Rinda Price?
Yeah.
And now you have a reason to, because if you need a 13-point support. But, yeah, I mean, Snoke, I get people are kind of upset, and you guys can kind of give your thoughts on it, of not hitting Yoda but hitting Snoke. And part of me doesn't like kind of gets that, but also like in a sense, like to me, Snoke's value was like so much more. You could power action for resources and then roll out Snoke and still use focus or still do 4 indirect just from his dice. Whereas Yoda, you chain his dice, get 2 resources, and turn another die. You know, it's like unless you roll double special, you know, then you're getting some more value out of it. But like if you're just doing one thing and turning, you're not getting, in my opinion, as much value as Snoke was kind of giving. So I do think Yoda's still probably too good for a 13-point character, but I think we're good with just bumping Snoke and seeing what happens for now.
Yeah, I agree. Snoke can finish games like on his own. Like he has damage sides. He has a very good focus side. His power action is absolutely bonkers. Whereas Yoda, sure, of course, he's excellent. At 13 points, he's incredible. But he doesn't. I don't think he has the same kind of potency as Snoke. I think Yoda offers you very valuable consistency with your die. And of course, you know, with the special chaining and everything like that, and the resource production or the shields, even the mill on the side. But that stuff, when Yoda's doing it, isn't necessarily winning you the game right then and there. Snoke power actioning a 2 range side into 4 is a lot. That's huge. Going from 1 resource to 3 is huge. Like there's a massive increase in potency for any single die. And his die are also incredible. So I think when you're going from it where both Yoda and Snoke have very good dice, what Snoke offers you is increased potency for every other die you have as well, and a die sides that will help you maximize damage or can just deal damage.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few thoughts. So there's a big like debate whether who should get bumped up, like Thrawn or Snoke, and I thought that was a kind of a dumb debate in my opinion. So like if you look at the history of Thrawn, he was a problem with Unkar because he did what? He made way too much money, and then they just played buyout and they milled your whole deck. That was what Thrawn was a problem for. He's a problem with Snoke because he made way too much money, played 4 TIE fighters, played Vader's Fist, abused both of that, and then just absolutely dumped on people. So again, he made way too much money. Then he had a little short running with Talzin for a little bit, and that was a completely fair deck that never was oppressive at all. Then you look at Snoke, and like you guys are saying, it's just the versatility. I mean, he wasn't, some character that really was oppressive in one fashion. I mean, you can mill with him, you can aggro with him, you can just ramp with him, and it's just that versatility all across the board. Now, the balance of the Force should be something that they don't want to have to do, and they held off, pretty long with Snoke. But at this point, just seeing him in 4 or 5 different decks that, would they break? I don't know. We're going to discuss that moving forward in the meta. But like those decks can start to actually make decisions. And I think Jack makes a great point with Arinda Price as a character. So when she came out, I remember this was, I think, before Snoke got previewed, and we were talking about Arinda, and we're like, wow, finally, villain has a 13-point support character who brings special chaining, who can kind of ramp if you get some good resource sides, who has these things, and then she's a dead card as soon as Snoke hits the meta. As soon as Snoke is revealed in that set, Arinda Price no longer matters. I mean, that's the problem, where Snoke just takes the role of every single support character on that side. And is it weird that they didn't hit Yoda? I think a little bit, honestly, because Yoda can fit those same things that I'm saying. He can mill, he can damage, but you guys have also made really good points where at the end of the game, Snoke still has 2 indirect on his side. He still has a little bit of damage output. Yoda has none. So I do get that. I do get that point. I think it's valid. I think we're going to have to see what happens. If Yoda becomes oppressive, then he might also need to hit that +1. But right now, I think I'm fine with them just hitting Snoke with it. But we'll have to see if I'm just dead wrong. Because I know Scott was definitely a fan of if they're going to hit one, they should hit both. And he was very much preaching that to all of us prior. So we'll see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm glad they didn't do like a +2. I think we kind of learned from FN, Poe, and Unkar. Yep. A +2 is just a death sentence.
Yeah, it is.
It's interesting because I've also seen people offering the solution of only adding the +1 at elite, so that he would be 11 single die still. And I think that's an interesting solution. I imagine it's probably something that FFG just wouldn't want to bother trying to figure out. So then they'd have to have like another column for balance of the force of like +0, +1. I think they'd rather just say, okay, +1 to its point cost, regardless of how many dice, and keep it kind of clean and simple that way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if they ever do it in that sense, like just increase either the elite or the single die, but not both. Because people talked about that with Cassian, doing that for him to get rid of that 3-wide mill deck, but they obviously haven't done any of that. So, remains to be seen if they're probably willing, but maybe wouldn't want to, but who knows exactly. I mean, but overall, would you guys say that you are happy with this +1?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, yeah, really, just let's see how much Bitter Rivalry hurts Thrawn Snoke, which I think it's going to be a lot. I don't know if it's going to be unplayable. I don't think it's going to be unplayable. I think it's still going to be playable, but I feel like it does hurt it a good bit. And then hitting Award Ceremony and Long Con is great just to turn that deck off. So now not everyone feels like, hey, if I see that OTK deck, I'm going to lose unless I'm running Thrawn Snoke. It just opens the meta up. I know that's what they're going for, and I think it will do it. But again, we'll have to see.
Heard it here first. Shane wants a +5 on Snoke.
If freaking Jar Jar gets like a +3, then I think the game will finally be where it needs to be.
Yeah, that'll finally tone down the nonsense.
Yep.
Yeah, he's too much.
So realistically, what they really should be buffing points on is Armored Transport, because boy howdy, has 3 points never looked so good.
Oh yeah, Armored Reinforcement.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they. I mean, there's no reason they can't balance of the force a plot, but also they could change the text to the red vehicle. But it's like crazy if you compare it to other 3-point.
Yeah.
Plot like profitable gives you 1 extra resource. Yeah. Okay, you can use it for whatever you want. That's okay. That's a fine thing to do. But it's like this. It's a tutor. It's technically an extra resource. Like it is so
Bonkers.
Good.
It's a graveyard tutor too. Like it's not even. It's a tutor from everywhere.
Yeah, mill doesn't even stop it. You know what I mean?
And then you look at the more expensive plots, like the 4-point Built to Last.
Yep.
It gives your unique stuff redeploy and lets you once per round get a resource for playing an expensive upgrade. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes 4 rounds or 3 rounds because you got to get it up to 2.
Yeah.
For it to even be valuable or get the most valuable out of it. And then it still has to go like probably another 2 rounds with the stuff that you want. But yeah, I would hope that that gets fixed in some shape or form because it is super good.
That's what kind of we're going to have to see. If the strategic planning hit simmers that deck down just enough, then it might not need to get hit. But yeah, looking at it, like the easy fix is, I mean, the first thing I thought about is how do you kind of simmer that down, help that deck, but not completely kill Armored Reinforcement. I think making it red vehicle only does that. I mean, you can still find Black One, you can still find some other red vehicles and things, but just you can't find the best vehicle in the game, which is the Shadowcaster right now.
Or alternatively, be forced to run the card so you can then get the mirror advantage of just like, oh, you want to search anything but N1.
Yeah.
All right, here's my N1.
Yeah. The N1 slap fights on stream. There's a few of those. They're quite fun to watch. Yeah.
Like there were a few people that said they thought that mirror was like the worst mirror of all time, but I actually like both games. I played 2 mirrors, I think, on Friday, and they were intense games, and I really enjoyed them. I thought they were both like excellent. Like obviously they're weird and we're not doing what we want to do, but I didn't think that makes it a bad mirror.
Yeah. I don't think that's.
I'll take that over R2P2 mirrors any day. I'll do 1 damage to take your 1 shield off. Oh, you gained 5 more. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna blank your die and get a shield. So there.
Yeah, really. I finally hit damage. All right, any other thoughts? If not, we will move on to these spicy spoilers. Convergence is here.
Convergence. FFG was doing stuff this week, man. I mean, they were probably doing stuff like 3 weeks ago, and then it just got approved this week, but still.
Probably. Yeah, man. It was a big week. I mean, it was so slow for a while, and now here we are. But, yeah, so Convergence is the new set. They didn't give a date or anything. My guess would be March, if you want my expert opinion.
Wrong.
Don't know how expert that is, but that would be my guess currently, but we'll just go through. Shane put them all, so we'll just go in the order of what Shane has. So if you don't like this order, you can send your complaints
please.
to Shane at goldendicepodcast.com.
All your hate mail, all of your anthrax, ship it right to him.
You can tell him when you see him.
You can ask
next
Alan for my address
person
because he now has it.
All right, so we'll try to go through these. We're at an hour right now, or just under an hour right now. So we'll try to. A few of these are quicker touches, but hope you. It's all right. Chip did like an hour 40 minutes, so we are as long as we stay below him. All right, first one up. Eldis, do you want to take this one?
We've got the Commando Droid, the starter exclusive droid boy, 7 HP, 8 points, but really, he's going to cost you 7. With details on that later. He's got a souped up battle droid activation effect where after you activate him, you may activate one of your droid characters or supports. So unlike the battle droids, you have a guaranteed chaining going on here with your other droid boys. And a solid die to boot. You've got 2 black range size, only 1 damage, but again, this is an 8-point character. A +2 range side, so that's nice. A 2 indirect, nothing to sneeze at, and something that I feel like a lot of these more aggressively inclined characters have been lacking, your death troopers, your battle droids. He has a 1 resource side. Woo. Very nice.
He's better than Jin already, dude.
Jin is terrible, dude.
Burn your copies.
Sell your Jins now, buy your commando droids right after. I think he's solid. Even if you're not playing him with Grievous, who we'll get into about him decreasing the cost of droids. But even at 8 points, I think he's solid. 7 points is, just amazing for equal point to health to solid dice with a 1/2/2 as for damage side. So, and just getting dice in your pool. If you have multiple of him or multiple of any droid in your team, just that quickness of it is
the only thing that scares me is the 7 health, but I really like the ability that I can activate droid supports. I think that's funny. It makes me want to work him into an Afro deck somehow, do something stupid that way, and roll out.
I had the same dumb thought, Shane.
Yeah, it's just I'm like,
you guys are both dumb.
Roll this guy MPT out at the same time. That's awesome.
I'm gonna I'll activate Commander Droid and then activate BT and then Archangel activate.
Yeah, it's like what?
000.
See, Eldis just wants to roll him out with BB-9E because that's his favorite character. But yeah,
apparently. Shane, you want to cover the next General Grievous, and then we can kind of expand on both them a little bit.
So Grievous is a 9 health, 9 for a single die, 12 for elite. He's also starter exclusive, which is a pretty cool starter. A 2 droid, like a Grievous and a droid, that's a pretty cool starter in my opinion. He's got a 1 range, a 2 indirect, a 2 focus, a 1 shield, and then a 1 resource. His text, he's a character leader. And also says, while building your team, the point of each droid is decreased by 1. So, like Eldis was saying, that Commando Droid is actually only going to cost you 7 if you're building with this Grievous. He also has a power action. His power action is reroll any number of your droid dice, which I don't think is something either to laugh at. That's not... So, without that power action, he's pretty solid. I mean, his damage isn't amazing output-wise. 1 and a 2 indirect, 1 direct, 2 indirect, 2 focus side on a 12-point character, very nice. Mm-hmm. Shield resource, fine. I mean, I don't know what else you'd want instead of a shield there. Resource is great. 9 health is 9 for 9 is good. Then he decreases all your droids by 1. That part is kind of the moneymaker. You can make some pretty combo-y things. I mean, who do you have? You have, so far, this Commando droid, the regular droid, and the super battle droid, right? Those 3?
Yeah.
I believe so,
yeah. Because...
I mean, that's nothing to laugh at either. And then on top of all that, which I already think is enough value, you just get 1 free reroll without having to pitch a card for every droid die that you have in. So obviously not his own dice, but all the rest of your droid dice. That's pretty good.
What you kind of alluded to this, I think, in your first comment when you mentioned about the starter, but it has to come with 2 of these droids, right? They're not just going to give you technically a 19-point team to go up against. I'll say Obi-Wan's points are 18, and even if they give you single die Satine, that's 26. They're not going to have a 19-point team against those 26,
but
right?
They released Kylo and Faust against Rey and Finn, which was a 25-point team versus a 20-point team?
19? Yeah, 12 and
Nah,
or was he
yeah,
13? I think he might have been 13.
Yeah, Kylo 1 is 13 on Elite.
That's true.
So it might be.
Yeah.
I mean, I really hope it's 2 because I think the Commando Droid's something you actually want multiple copies of it. He's pretty legit. So
It would be nice to only have to buy 2 of them and not like if it only comes with 1, it's like, all right, well maybe do I get 3 because
I'm actually
you could
I'm actually of the mind that they are giving us 2 because, and this is cutting into some of the other spoilers, but the way they've shown us the starter plots, they're both 2 points, and conveniently enough, an Elite Grievous and 2 Commando Droids with Grievous' ability it would be less than 28, but with Grievous' ability you'd have 26 points, and then that's room for a plot.
yeah.
Isn't that plot blue though? The one that they spoiled?
I thought they gave us another one.
Yeah, that one's blue, the starter one. There is a couple other plots, but I don't.
There's an uncommon one, the advanced training one we'll get to. But that's only like troopers, so it wouldn't affect anybody.
I'm mistaken, but I'm holding out hope.
I would like to. I agree.
Yeah, because I mean, with Grievous single die, you could run 3 of these, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
7, 14, 21. Yeah, so I mean, it's like you don't want to buy. I don't even know if that's a good deck, but it's like I'm that kind of person where if I could possibly do it, I want to make sure I have the dice and cards to do it, which means I would buy 3 Grievous starters, which I'd rather not do. I'd rather just buy 2.
And I'm sure regardless, you're going to need to buy 2 just to guarantee the playsets and everything.
Yeah, because if they have an heirloom type thing or like a card like Entangle, you're going to need 2 of those.
I like this starter in general already. Like, it's just a cool starter. Like, what veteran stormtrooper and Boba, like that's cool. I like that there's a yellow starter. I like Boba that was there. I mean, I know Finn won, but did he really exist? Not really. Boba's actually a cool character, but this one seems super strong as compared to all the starter characters I've seen some play. But this just seems fun and pretty good. So
first mono, right?
First
mono starter,
mono red starter, and if any color needs the love, other outside of Thrawn.
All the cards are going to be garbage, Shane. Stop. Just don't get your hopes up. If you're getting your hopes up for this, then you're probably the same person that'll get your hopes up for Shane going to a tournament.
I'm not going to. You're good.
All right, we'll move on to the next card, Force Flow. This is a 2-point blue neutral plot. It is also a starter card, and it is action. Set this plot aside to turn a die to any side.
Garbage.
I think I'd rather, I really think I'd rather just have an extra card or even an extra shield over turning a die.
The fact that it set it aside is kind of insane, considering that for 1 more point, you can get armor transport, which sets itself aside, and you get a vehicle from deck or discard pile for 1 less resource. If this didn't set itself aside and exhausted, that'd be very good. Maybe even worthy of being 3 points.
I would say that's too good.
Up a point
but like for a one-time turn a die, 2 points? Ew.
Just if it had ambush, maybe it'd be worth 2 points, but it's just like, all right, I'll turn a die, and you removed it, and there goes 2 points in my character team.
I think you'd rather just have the shield every time.
Yeah.
It is starter exclusive, so you will get 2 of these when you buy 2 of these starters. Congrats.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to put it in every deck.
I can't wait to break it with improvised defense, so then I'll turn my opponent's die and then remove it.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
Oh, spicy. You could put improvised defense in the starter deck, if you already have it, because the hero one comes with yellow.
That's
Blue yellow, which is probably hero, which is probably, one of the best colors to be in. But I'm going to take this blue hero because he's one of my favorite characters, especially this time period. I'm going to pull the leader of this podcast card and just read it. We got Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ardent Avenger, at 11 health for 14 and 18 points for Elite. He's got a 2 melee, a 3 for $1 melee, a 2 focus, a 2 shield, a resource, and a blank. He's a character Jedi, starter only, and he has a power action. And it says resolve 1 of your dice showing a value of 2 or more, increasing its value by 1. It takes strength to resist the dark side. Only the weak embrace it. They should have just put hello there. Like, come on. It's him, Grievous, like...
Well, isn't that already his flavor text on his Legacies version?
Ooh, is it? I don't know.
I think if it's not, I just wanted it to be.
I can't get over the fact that he's
it says your move is the...
it's like they did it on purpose. They knew what we wanted and they teased us.
I like part of me wishes I could have used it on the resource side, but I get why that's probably like too potentially good.
Yeah.
Having a double, resource side on an
just
18-point
drop
character.
5 damage for one.
Yeah, and it's weird though because the comparison obviously goes to the previous Obi-Wan because they're the same exact. I don't know about single die, but Elite they're both 18.
Yeah,
no,
he is
he's
19.
Excuse me. They're close
Yeah,
enough
they're very
though to
similar.
where, am I going to go up 1 point for an extra health and turn that 2 to a 3 damage side? But then, this Obi-Wan has the double focus. So obviously turning that into triple focus is, I think, the most value you can get out of it. Because, power action, if you don't have any upgrades, doing that on his melee, turn into a 4-for-1 or 3 is obviously solid. But like if I have, I don't know, a treasured lightsaber out, which is showing the +2, like, that power action obviously becomes worse because you can't use it because then you just be leaving a die in the pool to resolve. So it doesn't work with modifiers. It's a single die, but I still like him a lot. And this Obi-Wan is like my favorite time era of everything, like the Jedi General. So I'm super excited to have him in the game.
Yeah, mid Clone Wars, nitty gritty.
I love him. I don't know how good he'll potentially be, but I think he'll definitely be solid, especially with I think he actually does pretty well with Satine. Satine seems pretty solid. So, but what are your guys' thoughts on Obi-Wan?
I have a few. First is the 2 shield side.
Oh, dude, that can become a 3.
Yeah.
It can become a 3 so easily.
One interesting thing too is his power action is not just his character dice. Just resolve one of your dice showing a value or 2 or more. So that really does actually open up that power action a lot, which is pretty cool. Obviously, you actually could find some dice that have a 2 resource side potentially, and then resolve it for that if you want to ramp in that sense. But yeah, that's a pretty cool power action with a good die that has 4 targets for it. So I like it. I like the 11 health. Like you're saying, this is also like my favorite Obi-Wan. Clone Wars is like my favorite Star Wars content out there. Honestly, I love the Clone Wars. So glad it's coming back for an extra season. But yeah, he's dope, dude. He's really cool. I'm excited to see him in action.
Yeah, I'm willing to say hands down in terms of cost, health, die, power action. Like as a total character, I think he might be the best starter character we've gotten so far. Maybe next to Poe, too.
Are you kidding me? Did you play Finn 1?
Amazing.
You can put X-Wings and TIE Fighters if you run him with a red character. I gave him
so many E11s.
Poor Finn. Finn.
Even if he's not the best starter character yet, I think he's definitely the best Obi-Wan. So there's that.
I think the last one was really good. Obi-Wan 2 is really good. I think he's close. I think could be a little bit better.
Was really
but
good, and I think Hyperspace was really good, and Maz's Vault was really good. I don't think he was actually that great. I think he was just a big hitter with that. But I think when you take that Sabine archetype, that I don't know how to play Destiny, so I play Sabine, Jack. I'm Jack archetype around any deck. Any character can be good. Shot, dude.
Because you're not good enough.
I already made fun of Jack and Scott, so someone else has to get made fun of.
That's fair. Yeah, and looking at Obi-Wan Jedi Master, like he's got those 3 sides, but then his other sides are 1 shield, 1 resource. Very unexciting.
I don't know. He might not be. He might not be the best Obi-Wan yet, but he's pretty cool.
It might be a stretch just because of the 2-player starter. Like Kylo's so good. Like Rey was good, with Ayla. Poe and Phasma haven't really had time to shine, but. Like I think he's competing with other blue characters.
Sure.
Really,
as far as like beat face, like this Grievous interests me a lot more, just because he expands the team building aspect, like what you can actually fit into a deck.
Yeah, definitely.
But as far as like just beefy, dude, yeah, this is a beefy starter character. If you get this in a starter, like this is a new player coming into the game, like right away he's got something he can swing with, which is awesome. That's the point.
Definitely. All right, who wants this next
take it out of
character?
Sure. We've got Satine Kryze, Hope of Mandalore. 9 HP, 8-10 split on single die and elite. She is a character, also a leader. I'm curious if they're going to start making leader amongst other keywords like relevant. Yeah. And her ability is after you activate this character, you may reroll one of your dice. So we've got that good old Jabba 1 flare, but for any die, and a die that sports a 2 indirect. 1 focus, 1 resource, and a 2 resource for 1.
You can power action with Obi-Wan.
4 resources for 1, or 4 indirect. I'm sorry, 3 indirect. 3 I'm sorry, he increases by 1. Okay.
Yeah,
3 resources for 1 or 3
Yeah,
indirect.
yeah.
That's spicy. She's low costed, good health.
Yeah, 9 health is a ton for 8 points, man.
Yeah. Has a relevant activate ability along with a decent die. It is not much not to like here. She gives you a ton of really good support options just off the jump. And the pairing is nice, nice and flavorful for that sweet, sweet Clone Wars storyline.
I really was half expecting her to not have a damage side. I mean, in the show, she eventually did attack people, but her being like a pacifist and trying to bring pacifism to Mandalore, it's just kind of funny that she does have a 2 indirect side. I don't have an issue with it. It's just kind of funny. Cool. Yeah, I think they'll be solid together, and then that plot is whatever with them. There's probably other
I like
things
that
that
both
you want
of
to
the
run.
starters are super
2
thematic,
points,
so that's cool. And
yeah,
also, Mr. Chip doesn't know who this is, so that's also pretty cool. I had to tell him.
Well, yeah,
So, yeah.
She was in Return of the Jedi.
She was great.
Right next to Mother Talzin and Old Daka.
Especially
and the Rancor.
Yeah, they were all inside the stomach.
One thing I'll touch on for real though is the leader thing, and we'll get more to that because they actually reprinted the Trooper, the First Order Trooper, and they actually added something with the Trooper keyword. So when Stealthy came out, I was super upset that there was nothing that was actually pertaining to those subtypes, those character dash Jedi, nothing pertaining to that, because it was kind of just frustrating to have a Stealthy card in the game that still saw a little bit of mill play, but just didn't actually do anything with its Trooper subtype. But once I realized, they have to reprint this First Order Stormtrooper and add that Trooper subtype because they didn't have it originally, it makes sense why they're actually waiting till this set for that first block to cycle out that didn't have those subtypes to introduce cards that will start playing with them, because before it'd be really frustrating to have a card that says this affects troopers, but my First Order Stormtrooper isn't a trooper. You know what I mean? It gets frustrating at that point. So hopefully, like Eldis said, they actually do start playing with these subtypes like leader, and we know they're going to be playing with trooper. So
yeah, we'll get into trooper in a little bit. All right, so we'll move on. These next 3 cards are a brand new type of card, which are downgrades. Downgrades can be placed on your opponent's characters, not yours. The way it was worded, obviously we have to see a rules reference, but I think it's safe to assume that they can only be played on your opponent.
Yeah, the
not your
blurb they
characters.
released them in said on your opponent's characters, but of course we'll want the rules reference to be sure.
Yeah, so at first, you would be like, why would I ever want to play a downgrade? But as we get into it, you'll see it's some of them are after a character is defeated, you can draw 3 cards. So it's I could throw it on my character right before he dies, and then I get 3 cards.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And
work
you can
like
have
that.
a max of 3 on an enemy character. They said so.
The first one we have here is called Deathmark. Also, I love the art on these and how it's literally just an upside down card.
Yeah, I love the way they design them so that you can intuitively put them on top of a character, so they won't jockey for position with actual upgrades, which typically go along the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the art for these are super. They almost remind me of Legion a little bit more. These artworks, it's always kind of been a little different. They've reused some artwork, but I don't know. I've almost felt a little bit of the command cards and stuff. There's been different, and it reminds me of that. It looks cool, but anyways, this one is called Deathmark. It is a 0-cost yellow villain, and is a downgrade bounty. And after attached character is defeated, you may draw 3 cards. Seems fine. We'll have to see how downgrade goes in terms of how good this is compared to other ones, but obviously we know drawing cards is good.
I say you just read the other 2, and then we can talk about all 3 of them.
No.
I guess. Okay.
One.
Have a good day, guys.
Next, we got a yellow neutral one, 0 cost, called Wanted. It is a downgrade bounty. After attached character is defeated, you may gain 2 resources. And the last one we have is a gray neutral. It is a 1 cost called Wounded. It is a downgrade injury. And attached character has -1 health, and its flavor text says it's just a flesh wound.
A+. A+ top-down design.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of these seem cool. We'll have to see how it goes. I mean, Wounded doesn't seem as good because they could probably play around it. Maybe out of hand, if they're 1 away, play that to kill the character seems cool. But
yeah, you ask yourself, would you pay 1 resource to deal 1 unblockable damage to an enemy character?
Yeah, that's what you kind of have to think. I mean, Plastoid was an extra health for 0, but how much that didn't see play at all. Maybe in the Talzin Commandos early on in testing, but I don't know. They just seem okay. It's probably indirect. It really wasn't around in Legacies, but as we got more options for indirect and more things, it expanded more and more.
Yeah. If They have Jabba the Hutt, which we'll spoil a little bit here, but he has an effect that reveals bounties, gets into his hand. If they have a new Django, a new Boba, a new bounty hunter that gets additional damage against characters that have downgrades on them, something like that, or an ability that when he kills a character that has multiple downgrades on it, he gets a special effect, then yeah, they might become playable. But like you're saying, right now they just kind of seem flavorful, but not great.
Shane, since you are Jabba the Hutt, do you want to skip to him? I know we have it in different order, but
Yeah.
it'll just make sense if we skip over to him.
Yeah, I am. Well, I'm Salacious Crumb, but Jabba the Hutt is my dad. So Jabba the Hutt, the influential kingpin, he's got 10 health. He's a 10-13, so not bad. Another cheap spot that now Snoke is not competing with. He is a 2 focus side, 1 disrupt, a 1 discard, a 1 resource, and then a +2 resource, so a modified resource side, followed by a blank. He's got 2 subtypes. He is a character. He is a leader scoundrel, so hopefully they play with that. After you activate this character, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal a bounty or a yellow event from among them, and add it to your hand. Place the rest of those on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it does cycle your deck decently. You're getting through 4 cards, kind of like the engineer does, and you get a bounty or any yellow event. So that part of it is pretty solid. Consistently getting another removal card to your hand just after activating this guy seems pretty good.
If it was just bounty, it would have been significantly worse.
Yep, but the event
Any yellow event seems very powerful.
Yeah, he is a legendary as well, so that will be one of the legendaries you're pulling in this box.
Cool.
He's interesting. He's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's been a Jabba that I like. They all seem to do specific things, and he is kind of that same way. And I don't know. He doesn't interest me necessarily, but I could see him being good. He reminds me of Unkar a lot, almost having the same sides.
Very
except
similar die, yeah.
I think instead of a discard, I think Unkar has a 2 disrupt, and I think that's the only difference. They're both 10-13, 10 health.
He has a 2 disrupt and a 1 focus.
And a 1 focus. Gotcha. So, I mean, yeah, again, it seems interesting. We'll have to see how good bounties are, but even if bounties aren't great, taking a yellow event could be solid.
Yeah, he seems a little bit more, he can fit in any deck definitely than the last Jabba. The last Jabba was so singled in on one thing, but at least this guy's got a little bit of support action that he might be able to find his way into a couple different decks. So,
yeah, like at 1 die, he seems very good.
But I'm surprised they didn't save this spoiler for Chip, because I know he loves getting the last Jabba so much. So,
dude, we don't talk about spoilers and Chip. That's a touchy.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Touchy subject with him. Cool. We'll try to burn through these next few. Eldis, we will give you the one I'm probably most excited for.
Yeah.
The lady in the shiny helmet.
Oh,
if you want to read through her.
The woman herself, Captain Phasma, Stormtrooper Commander. 12 health, so you know she's beefy. 18 and 21, so she is going to be your big bad, as it were. Character, leader, trooper. You may resolve your trooper dice, showing damage as if they were melee damage. I like that a lot. And the power action. Roll 2 set-aside first-order Stormtrooper dice into your pool, and set them aside after they are resolved or removed. And she's got 1 range, 2 focused, 1 shield, 1 resource. Boy, howdy. We're talking about an elite character that gives you access to 4 dice by yourself.
This is what Krennic always wanted to be, I think.
Oh, yeah. This is what Krennic should have been.
Yeah, Krennic is like shaking his fist angrily from his grave amongst the cards that Destiny
She
forgot.
doesn't even need the battlefield.
So our thoughts are complete. I'm going to read through, so basically I'll say the first order Stormtrooper is reprinted exactly as it was with the added subtype trooper. So it's a 1 range, 2 range, 2 for 1, resource blank blank. And there's a new plot called Advanced Training that is a red neutral, 2 points, uncommon. And it says you may resolve your trooper dice showing a blank as if they were indirect that have a value of 1. And then that also goes into Phasma. So you can resolve them as an indirect, but she lets you change them to melee. So really, first order Stormtroopers have a technically a 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee for $1, 1 melee, and a resource. If you combine them and find a way to get that plot in there.
Seems tasty.
Yeah, there's some interesting things. I mean, I even think her at 1 die is probably better, so you could maybe jam more health into your deck.
Yeah.
Obviously, like starting with 4 dice just on her seems good, and then like a first order stormtrooper and that advanced training plot even seems spicy.
Yeah.
But something like her at single die and then like elite talisman seems interesting. For a 3 die starting plus the power action to get you to 5 dice, it just seems solid all around. And I just think she's like Vader. They nailed it, and I think with her they're getting it right as well. Even if she doesn't pan out, like this type of ability seems just cool for a big character.
Yeah, her dice is solid for 3 more points to get a second one, but it's not like she has to be played at 2. And she's also a legendary, and I think that's very fitting of a legendary. So it's a feel good legendary.
Absolutely.
I love that the first order's reprinted, and also the Gandor, because he's on Discord, or Nick, the head judge of Worlds, who's kind of worked really closely with FFG and the rules reference for all those things. He has said that I believe you're going to be able to use the old cards and dice as well. So there's first order spot gloss. I have like 5 first order dice in case I wanted to run like a 4 wide deck and also training. So actually I might have 6 dice. Like I said, if I can run it, I need to make sure I can run it.
You could run that plot with it too. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, 20. You could do 4 first order troopers in that plot, and just get dice out. And but yeah, so you'll be able to use your old ones. It seems like that'll have to be cleared up in the rules reference as we get into reprints, of course, just for clarity among players. But it seems like that'll be good, which is good because I don't want to have to pull like 4 more or 5 more of these stormtrooper dice when I have the exact die sitting, and also I have that spot gloss. That first order stormtrooper.
Yeah, I think it would just be kind of like it would really just be a dick move if FFG didn't allow it in tournament play to use these, especially for characters that are just reprints. As long as you follow the MRP rules, it should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, in trilogies, you can use doubt that was from whatever Spirit, maybe I forget.
Yeah,
like you could use the doubt from the other set. You could use strategic planning or
logistics,
tactical mastery, logistics, all that stuff. That didn't matter. So I can see why it might get trickier with dice and them now being updated with the trooper subword, but I think it should all just be covered.
Yeah,
within that.
Oh, right, any other Phasma? I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead. That's what I was going to ask.
Love the art. Love the art.
Definitely.
Very cool.
I haven't seen any art that I don't like so far in this. The few spoilers that we've gotten from this, they've all
that's a very good point. Yeah,
pretty dope. And I even think last block, a Legacies block, I feel like they were basically all pretty good. There were some weird ones, like I thought Ezra Saber kind of looked a little weird, but Ezra himself.
This time.
Yeah, so far. These it's only like 6 cards, 8 cards.
Knock on some wood.
Cool. All right, we're gonna move on to Mace Windu, Inspiring Master, 11 health. He is 12 for single die, 16 for elite. He has a 1 melee, 2 melee, 2 melee, 2 focus, 1 resource. Blank. He's a character, a Jedi, and a leader. He is a rare, and he has a power action that says, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may play an upgrade from among them. Place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. If that upgrade was played on a Jedi, give it 1 shield. You have to pay its cost because it's saying play. It's not saying place or move or pay without its cost or anything like that. So you're going to have to pay for it, which is still good. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. It could just stink if you pull like a 3-drop and you only have $2 or something along those lines. But it is a May, so it's not like that's the out if you can't pay for it. But he seems like super good.
He does.
Like, I don't know if I play Kit Fisto again. Like, Kit Fisto's different. Obviously, he's got the 3-for-1, like kind of more of a niche ability of being able to block damage. But like a 1, like I feel like I'd rather have a 2 melee for free than a 3-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just this power action being able to make sure you can get upgrades and a shield out of it, like, it just seems valuable.
Yeah, a blue hero character that can get upgrades, I think it's hard to argue that blue definitely has the best upgrade suite for characters. At least thematically. I mean, you've got your sabers in both hero and villain. You've got, your batons here and there, but really, like, lightsabers, I think, kind of take the cake when it comes to being those high quality upgrades and being able to consistently get those out onto your melee characters, especially one like Mace Windu, who's got 3 melee sides to pair up any of those mod sides that pop up. Just seems super powerful and really nice.
Yeah, which is important because like Ray too was. I think she's a really good character, but how frustrating was it to link up mod sides with her sometimes?
Oh yeah,
Just having like a 1-2. So
and God forbid Ray won. Ugh.
oh yeah, and that double focus on Mace as well. Just he's going to be consistent and he's going to be solid.
Yeah, just to say like the few things I think about him that are a little bit weirder than what you guys are saying is I like that they're playing with the Jedi subtype. So here now we see another, excuse me, another subtype being played with other than Trooper. And I really like that he's only a rare. So again, you can get really powerful, characters into your friend's hands super easily. And I also really enjoy that if you don't see an upgrade in your starting hand, you can just dig 4 cards for another upgrade with him. Or if you're just you have the money, you need the more upgrades, you can just dig for it. It just seems really strong. So
I mean, you also mulligan that way probably, right? You're probably like, oh, I don't necessarily need an upgrade. I could probably look for more removal, or I could dig for, well, I guess it binds all things, rotates out, but like something along those lines, a resource generation card.
Yeah, because I mean, just running 12 upgrades with a 2-character deck, like digging through 4 cards, you're going to have a high chance of seeing one. So you definitely can mulligan with that in mind. I totally agree.
Shane, you want to read his lightsaber?
Yeah, I'll take the purple monster. So we have, that sounded terrible. So it's a 3-cost Mace Windu's lightsaber. It's got a.
I'm just picturing what's it from McDonald's? That like giant purple thing.
Grimace.
Yeah.
I love how you know the name. Him and Gritty should hang out sometime.
Yeah, Gritty and Grimace would have an excellent time together.
It's the Bizarro Gritty. The Bizarro Gritty. It's a 3-cost upgrade. Mace Windu's lightsaber. 1 melee, 2 melee, +3 melee, 2 shield side. I'll pause for emphasis. A special. Deal 2 unblockable damage to a character. Then, if that character has 1 remaining health, defeat it. So, kind of like that new card that resolves some melee side. If they have 1 health left, defeat that character. So similar
final
to that.
blow.
Finishing strike or final blow or something.
Yeah. Like that. Final, strike. Yeah, sure. Also a blank. He also has a power action. Spot Mace Windu to move this upgrade to him. So you can just kind of have redeploy, but it eats an action. So if you play it on a side character, you can redeploy this if that character's going down just by simply taking the power action to move it over to him. But also, obviously, this is important for play it on your left character, roll in the left character, get some damage, and then power action it over to Mace so you get an additional roll in with this die the turn it comes in.
Yep.
Pretty good. Pretty solid upgrade. Worth the legendary status that it has.
Yeah.
I love the throwback to Old Mace of the special. Yep. Like that's similar to him as well, where it was like if a character has 2 health remaining, remove his die to defeat it.
Kill it.
It just seems similar to that. It's got a 1, 2 +3, 2. So 4 damage sides, including that special. So it's baller, and the artwork, of course, that purple saber looks amazing,
baby. And I would love to see. I know we've only seen 1 reprint confirmed so far, but like getting Padawans back or something similar. Being able to like drop this down for cheap on a Padawan and then use it and then move it over to Mace feels like it would be a good time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, getting 2 resolves out of this would be huge. Ideally not on that 1 melee, but
I'll take a guess here, but I believe Scott will be happy about the thematicness of this card as far as Mace Windu goes, because I know he hates that Qui-Gon is all about shielding, because he's like, pushes up his glasses and he's saying the Jedi stance that Qui-Gon takes is the Jedi.
Excuse me.
Qui-Gon takes is not about shielding. Exactly. Yeah. Scott, I love
the Ataro style is not the defensive style. That's the Shi-Cho style, which Obi-Wan emphasized. That's why they sent him after Grievous. And clearly...
wow, that sounded just like Scott.
Yeah, Scott sounds exactly like that for any listeners.
Scott, are you in this call right now? Are you in this here? Are you here?
Dude, I'm so sorry. I don't even know why we're coming at him so hard, but it had to be done. But yeah, Mace Windu's aggressive. This is aggressive. The end.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's a legendary. I don't know I think Shane said that. Seems solid. So we have a last few points that we'll try to run through real quick as we're at an hour 30. On the side of the booster, we got new Chewbacca, potentially.
Art.
The front art, that was the main art of the article and in front of the box, and the booster is Enfys Nest, so could be a character, could be a solid. Like I feel like that if they're going that route of a neutral every set, like Enfys Nest would probably be a solid one to go with. Chewbacca's got to be hero. Like
I could see Enfys Nest being hero too, but yeah. Either way, she'd be awesome.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
The most important one right here.
We got Watto. on front. This is Shane's after being whatever Crumb, whatever he is. This is like Shane's Salacious Crumb. This is Shane's like second Star Wars spirit animal.
Second favorite character. Yep.
From the booster, there's something blue with 4 indirect, so that's a little
honey.
spicy. Excuse me.
I was just saying.
He's just doing a Watto voice.
Oh.
Continue.
Yep. Side of the starter, there's an HK assassin droid.
Let's go.
Yep. That's maybe that KOTOR swag. Who knows?
Yeah, that's very
that would be cool. And in the article, it said several reprints. So there's other cards that we can expect, whether that's dice or commons, uncommons. It'll be interesting to see as that gets spoiled.
I'm just fingers crossed for no hyperspace jump, no ancients, no Force Illusion. Just get rid of the power cards. Let's get a new feel to the game again.
I'd be surprised. Yeah, even beyond, it's like, okay, you can print something just as powerful, but have it do something different. Like it's just like freshen up the game in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of people who want those cards back. I mean, there is. I'm not even just making. I've seen a lot of posts about those cards wanting to come back, and I could not disagree more. I do not want them to come anywhere near this game again. They had their time.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I don't even care if they come in the next block or something like this. Like in set, would it be set 10?
Yeah.
10 would be the next block. Like if it comes in then, that like, I mean, that's whatever. I wouldn't be excited, but I wouldn't hate it. But it's just like, just let the game breathe a little bit in like a new space.
Yep.
And the last part right here, Shane, you kind of bolded this out. It's a quote from the article. It says, "From the Jedi of the Old Republic to the troopers of the First Order to the scoundrels and blah, 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 blah." But he keeps, as I'm talking, he's making Jedi of the Old Republic bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if that is a thing. I feel like this is a typical FFG intern, Jedi of the Old Republic. He saw Mace Windu. The Republic is currently old if we're looking at the current trilogy. But I don't think we're going to like what we would think of the Old Republic. And he highlighted it purple.
Oh, that's me. I'm doing
that's Eldis.
Oh, that's Eldis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be so cool if they could add elements of KOTOR to this game. But as far as I know, that has not been approved canon just yet by the mouse upstairs. And I agree with Jack. I think this was someone who was like, Mace Windu, it's the Old Republic, yeah. No, that's just the regular Republic, you nerd. The Old Republic is KOTOR.
Are all the interns like from New York?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, with headquarters in Minnesota, you'd be like, oh, gee, yeah, well, that's that there Old Republic, you know.
Oh gosh! All right,
we're getting there, boys. We're getting there.
We are wrapping up. We are hour 37. Although editing this could be a different time.
It'll be 2 minutes.
It'll be 2 minutes. Cut everything out. So I want to thank everybody for kind of tuning in, and we are on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube as well. We also have a Patreon. If you would like to support us, I'll be trying to travel. I'm hoping to get to 3 regionals. Don't know if that's going to work out, but I would like to stream them. So anybody that Shane won't be at any, but I'm trying to get to 3. And then streaming them. So obviously your support in that is obviously greatly appreciated. But we also have like our own Discord to talk about. And I've been actually posting gameplay videos for our higher tiers. I've actually started putting work in. So you guys can come watch me lose. And that just seems like a good time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that just about covers it. Oh, I want to say a special thank you in terms of Patreon stuff to Lawton, Jared, and Matt. Those were 3 guys that donated during our PAX Unplugged stream. And, I had to go out and buy like a little router, Jetpack, I think it's called, from Verizon, and some extra data to cover that. So those guys donating was, a help in covering those expenses, which I was not expecting. I honestly forgot that I set up a donation in the Twitch chat. So I wasn't even expecting anything. So for those guys to do that was super awesome. So that's a thank you to those guys.
Awesome.
We'll give Eldis the last word, but Shane, do you have any final thoughts?
I haven't said anything bad about Tommy yet, so I guess he's a terrible person, and Snow Kira is the worst deck you could come up with.
Yeah, Snow Kira is garbage.
He did text me about that earlier today. He's like, "Is this trash?" And I was like, "Maybe." But I think it has potential to be like a White Girls 2.0 or White Chicks.
The Talls and
Yeah.
R.
Nah, Tommy, you're terrible. That's all. That's it. You suck.
I'm making him self-conscious because I played the deck, got stomped. And I was like, nope, we're done.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Eldis, do you want to close us out?
Sure. It's an honor. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'll say this, for a dead game, still having a lot of fun. So there's that.